Hey, it's Emma Chamberlain. I designed these new glasses for Warby Parker, and I basically can't take them off. Like, I'm showering in them and sleeping in them. They're just that good. Go see them all at warbyparker.com. And you know what? Have a good day too. Okay? All right? Bye.
What if you could hear your favorite song for the first time again? Introducing the all-new, reimagined Nissan Kicks. With an available Bose Personal Plus sound system that uses speakers in the headrest to create a 360-degree listening experience. You've never heard anything like this. Reimagine your music and your drive. Experience the all-new, reimagined Nissan Kicks for yourself at nissanusa.com today.
Available feature. Bose is a registered trademark of the Bose Corporation.
This is Optimal Relationships Daily. Loneliness is killing you, and what you can do about it, by Cylon George of spirituallivingforbusypeople.com. Quote, I would rather walk with a friend in the dark than alone in the light. End quote. By Helen Keller. So you're taking a stroll down the Serengeti with your friends, when all of a sudden, one of them stops dead in his tracks, saying, Did you hear that? Someone in the back pipes up, Hear what? But before anybody else could respond, a lion rushes out from behind a tree, headed full speed toward the group, which starts running full speed in the other direction. You try to keep up with the pack, but find yourself falling behind. As you become further separated from the group, the lion locks onto you as its target. Just as he moves in for the kill, you wake up in a cold sweat. Whew, just a dream, right? Well, not so fast. You see, too many of us are roaming around the Serengeti of life, isolated and unprotected from the dangers that lurk around in our minds and hearts. I'm not talking about lions and tigers, but chronic loneliness. You may not fear this foe as much as you fear a hungry lion, but it can be just as deadly. Loneliness is killing us. Loneliness is arguably one of the biggest epidemics of our time. No longer held together by the bounds of religion, which comes from the Latin religare, meaning literally to bind, social norms or family values, many of us wander off into the wilderness on our own. Nothing is wrong with being in the wilderness for a time per se. Most of us go through such periods by necessity in order to experience personal growth and greater maturity. But as humans, we're not meant to go at it alone our whole lives. Loneliness is on the rise. As our lives become more hectic, each person vigorously pursuing their dreams and visions, we make less time for cultivating friendships. This is especially true once a person settles down to start a family or advance their career. The friendships of our childhoods and early adulthood quickly fade into the background of our busy lives. Before you know it, you're depressed, you find it difficult to cope with everyday life, you're falling behind at work, and your most important relationships are falling apart. As parents of 7 young children, my wife and I know what it's like to feel isolated. We, like countless others, struggled to maintain our friendships or form new ones. For a while, we didn't think much of it. We had each other and our children, and that felt like enough. But as our duties at home increased, we grew more stressed and felt increasingly isolated. For me, it took losing my job and going through a marriage crisis before I began to appreciate how dangerously lonely being isolated can make you feel. Once I began contemplating leaving my marriage and suicide simultaneously, I knew I was all alone in the Serengeti, and that the lion was closing in. The biggest barrier to experiencing the benefits of friendship. In addition to seeking counseling, I started reaching out to old friends and colleagues during my crises. In doing so, I was finding my pack again. As I realized how even brief conversations with people I had not spoken to in years helped me navigate my difficult period, I wondered why I did not keep up my friendships. I wondered why I felt some guilt for reaching out only when I was in trouble. In the New York Times article, Why Is It Hard to Make Friends Over 30?, the author points out that sociologists have long believed there were 3 things required in order to establish close friendships. Quote, proximity, repeated unplanned interactions, and the setting that encourages people to let their guard down and confide in each other. End quote. The problem is that so few of us can experience this ideal environment once we're all grown up. I realized that I'd set the bar so high for meaningful interactions that I didn't bother to be more intentional about reaching out to friends or make the effort to have meaningful interactions with strangers. The biggest barrier to my benefiting from friendship was my perfectionist idea about what friendships should look like. If we couldn't talk 3 days a week or go out for coffee once a month, I wrote certain people off my list of meaningful friends. However, the real value of friendships is the ability to find meaningful connection with another human being. Didn't much matter if this was accomplished with someone I see every day or someone I see once a year. Some of my most meaningful interactions have lasted years. In spending time with other people and couples, my wife and I realized that though we loved each other and worked as a good team for many years, we weren't each other's best friend. Somehow, over the years, we stopped connecting on a deep level, even though we were around for each other all the time. We started to break our isolation, not only from others, but from each other. Free yourself from isolation. The key to benefiting from your relationship is to understand that friendships can be more than one thing. So, with this perspective in mind, here are some action steps you can take today to break the isolation. Number 1, reach out to an old friend. Don't even waste a thought trying to remember how long it's been since you spoke with an old friend. Send an email, pick up the phone, write a letter. The very act of reaching out will instantly lift your mood. Number 2, talk to someone who looks like they could use a friend. Next time you're taking public transportation, try to identify someone who could benefit from a friendly conversation. Try striking up a conversation with them. Yeah, it's risky and you might get rejected, but who knows? Chances are you would have made that person's day, maybe even saved their life, because you cared enough to notice them. Number 3, become a better listener. Dale Carnegie, in his book How to Win Friends and Influence People, wrote, quote, "You can make more friends in 2 months by becoming interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you." End quote. Nothing says, "I'm interested in you," more than giving a person your undivided attention. Number 4, leverage work relationships. Remember, the people you work with don't have to become your best friends or know everything about you. Smile at your colleagues, even the ones you're competing with for the upcoming promotion. That alone can create bonds of connection. Number 5, get off Facebook. I don't care how many friends you have on Facebook. Having a meaningful interaction with a stranger you'll never see again is more valuable than engaging in heated arguments about hot-button issues on Facebook. Number 6, work on your relationship with yourself. What's your self-talk like? Do you constantly put yourself down, or do you treat yourself as you would someone you enjoyed being around? Number 7, work on your relationship with God. What's your relationship like with God? Do you pray when you're feeling all alone? Do you believe that God is with you even when you feel abandoned? You don't have to be lonely. Even with 7 billion people on the planet, our lives can feel quite lonely, but it doesn't have to be that way. You were made for connection. All you need to do is reach out. You may be in a period of life where it's hard to make close friendships, but it doesn't mean you need to starve yourself of human connection. So don't be afraid to reach out, because chances are there's at least one person out there who's dying to connect with you. You just listened to the post titled, "Loneliness is Killing You, and What You Can Do About It," by Cylon George of spirituallivingforbusypeople.com.
Bumble knows it's hard to start conversations.
Hey, no, too basic. Hi there. Still no. What about, hello, handsome? Ugh, who knew you could give yourself the ick?
That's why Bumble is changing how you start conversations. You can now make the first move or not. With opening moves, you simply choose a question to be automatically sent to your matches. Then sit back and let your matches start the chat. Download Bumble and try it for yourself.
Hey, it's Austin James. If you're like me, trying to live your best life while living with diabetes, you can relate to worrying if you're doing a good job managing your diabetes. I use the Freestyle Libre 3 Plus sensor to get real-time glucose readings and see the impact of every meal and activity to make better decisions. The Freestyle Libre 3 Plus sensor can help me live life with diabetes on my own terms, and it gives me more time for the things I love, like being a dad and a musician. Now this is progress. Learn more at freestylelibre.us.
For prescription only. Safety info found at freestylelibre.us.
This year, Santa's bringing the power of Energizer into his workshop.
Whoa, the Energizer Bunny's got so much power.
Wait, he's powered up all the toys. I think that means we're done for the year.
I love this bunny.
He's the hardest working helper the North Pole has ever seen. And he wants all your gifts to have the power of the #1 longest lasting AA battery. So this holiday season, stock up on Santa's and the elves' favorite battery, Energizer Ultimate Lithium.
And thanks so much to Cylon for such an important post today. Definitely a piece that would elicit a lot of different reactions, I would think. I've always been a big believer in the reframing of loneliness. I've talked about this a few times. First of all, it is crucial to make a distinction between feeling lonely and being lonely. Unlike a state of being, a feeling isn't here to stay. It's bound to undergo change, and even the most powerful of feelings have this kind of volatility. It's only when we believe in them so much that we fall under the illusion that they are inescapable states of being. This applies to loneliness too. Loneliness is a feeling, and it is subject to change. Surely that can happen through some of the ways that Cylon mentioned today, great strategies. But until you take action on those, also remember that the world is full of people feeling lonely and craving connection just like you might be. So in that way, there's an incredible togetherness. Surely those feeling lonely might not have found their group yet or know how to express themselves to their group, but there's definitely a connection in the desire to do so. So, reconsider loneliness from this angle and how it's actually a strong bond that unifies many, even if the nature of it is supposed to be isolating. That's all for me, friends. Thank you so much for humoring me, and thank you so much for sticking around until the end. Big thanks to Cylon, too, once again, for a great article. Time to get out of here now, but I hope to see you again tomorrow, where we will keep on bringing you the best relationship content around and where your optimal life awaits.